What's up guys, how we doing? Tyler Newman here, and taking a bit of a trip down memory lane today. We're gonna go have a look at the first property deal I ever did, the first deal, which was at 18. So it was a house I bought it cheap, below market value, and I'll explain how I did that in just a second. And I added value to it and then eventually sold it on for a profit. And I'll go through all the numbers, but yeah, I just wanted to really show you the first deal I did, how I got started, and sort of some tips and some advice that I can give you guys so you can do the same, because to buy a house at 18, it's a good achievement, and actually, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's actually easier to accomplish than some of you may think. So we're just pulling up in a second and we'll have a look. Okay, we actually ended up going down the wrong road because it's actually been 4 years since I've been here, but I found it, and it's this one right here with that white rendering there. So I'll show you a couple shots, we'll get out of the car and I'll talk through a bit about how the deal happened and what the numbers were. Okay guys, we've just pulled up outside the house, and like I said, I just want to talk through exactly how I bought the house, what the deal was, what the numbers are, and how you can do the same. So like I said, I was 18 at the time, and by this time I'd spent about a year learning about property. And actually before I bought this house, probably 6 months or so before, I was making offers on properties, I was viewing properties, I was getting rejected by agents, and really I was just feeling down on my luck, and I kept going, I persevered, and eventually I came across this property. It went live on the internet, so it was sourced through an agent. Went live I think on the Thursday, and then I called them up immediately and I viewed it on the Friday. And when I viewed the property, there were other investors that were viewing at the same time, so I knew I was competing with people, but it needed a huge amount of work. New bathroom, new kitchen, had to knock a wall through downstairs, needed replastering throughout, the ceilings throughout needed replastering because there was asbestos in the original plaster, and it was a huge job. But I knew there was huge potential to add value and make money on it, and even better, there was a motivated seller. So the situation with the seller was he inherited his father's property, which is a few roads down, which is a bigger property and a nicer property that the seller of this one wanted to move to, but he couldn't afford to own both houses. And he was getting to a point of financial difficulty where he needed to sell this one quickly, and because he was happy to sell it quickly, he was also happy to let it go at a bit of a discount. So I made an offer, negotiated back and forth with the agent over some time. My offer was strong, I put it in writing, I negotiated really well, and it was on the market for £100,000, and I got £85,000 accepted. So I bought it for 85, I spent 20 on it, so that was £105,000 all in. And then about a few months later, I can't remember the exact time frames, I sold it for £131,000 to a first-time buyer. So I made about £26,000 profit. So how did I do it? Well, what a lot of young people don't realise is when you're young and when you don't own a property already, because this was the first property I ever bought, I didn't own a property, is you can get a residential mortgage. And with a residential mortgage, the lender will give you 90% of the purchase price, and you've only got to put down 10%. So on the £85,000 purchase price, I only put down £8,500, and there was also no stamp duty at that price as well. Now, if you're getting a residential mortgage, the banks do want you to live in the property eventually. So I did the property up with the £20,000 that I said, and actually that £20,000 wasn't all my money. And this is something I want to drill into your guys' brain. It's not a question of what resources you have and how much money you have, it's a question of how resourceful you can be. So some of that money was from credit cards, some of it was obviously my own money, but some of it was also home refurbishment loan, and I could have also used private finance borrowed from another investor. I could have borrowed money from a family, offered them an interest rate, had a simple loan agreement with them or with friends or anyone. So and there still would have been a huge amount of profit that I could have kept to myself. So really, I only put in £15,000 or so, probably a little bit less, and ended up making £26,000. And one of the benefits that I had at the time is I had an income from another job I was doing. I wasn't a full-time property investor at the time, and that income allowed me to get a mortgage, which is something I recommend to a lot of young people starting out. Is you don't need to go full-time into property straight away. Is you can get a job, get a good income, leverage that to get a mortgage, and then at the time that you do have spare, because if you're only working 40 hours a week, that may sound like a lot, but you still have a huge amount of free time where you can actually go out and find deals. But you don't need money yourself to buy houses like this. You know, I was fortunate, I'd saved money up over a couple of years in other businesses that I had prior to this, and like I said, I leveraged credit cards and debt. And debt isn't necessarily a bad thing. And one of the most important skills you can develop as a property investor is the ability to find and negotiate good deals. I bought this property about 15 to 20% below market value because I had a trainer, because I knew how to identify a deal, how to negotiate them, how to offer properly, how to get it through quicker, how to make my offer more attractive. And if you learn how to do that, if you learn that skill, that's a skill then you can charge money for, because there's a lot of investors out there that have lots of money, but they don't have the skill, they don't know how to find property deals, and they don't necessarily have the time, and they don't want to learn either. So if you know how to find these deals, you can secure them, and then you can charge a fee to pass them on to the other investors. There's other creative methods like joint ventures or using private loans to buy houses, which is too much to explain for this video. But that's just to give you an insight really on how I got started, and to plant a seed in your mind that maybe if you're looking at buying your first property and you've got an income and maybe you'd consider living there for a period of time, you can buy it with a residential mortgage where you've only got to put down 10%, which if it's an £80,000 or a £70,000 property isn't a huge amount of money. So hope that was useful, guys. I've got more videos on the way. Click the subscribe button below, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you on the next one.